Hello, it's Magic here, and today I'm going to talk about the new Sony 16-35 f2.8 G Master version 2 lens. Some of you have asked in the comments what I think about it, and I'll be 100% honest with you. I have no comparison to the first generation of a 16-35 G Master because I just have never used it. I did got a unit for these tests, so yeah, I can show you that the new version is smaller, it has the aperture ring, like it's just a refreshed version, like whatever is Sony doing, updating all the old lenses to the new housing, making them smaller and better, which they do. But what I can share with you is like my whole approach to these videos. I want to be as practical as I can. So I shot a couple hundred photos with this lens. I shot some night photography in New York. Then I shot some portraits with it even to check out how bokeh looks. And then I shot some dancing photos at the wedding. And I do have some thoughts about like this lens in general. So let's just go through the images and I'll share with you my thoughts. Okay, so the first couple images I've shot was images, like night images in New York. So this is just when we landed, me and my wife, we landed in New York. We just went on the streets. Our hotel was quite close to the Times Square. So I thought it's gonna be a perfect location for some quick test snaps, and I enjoyed it. Like, first of all, here you can see the bokeh at 35 millimeters. You can see the bokeh is quite nice and round, like from one edge of the frame to the other edge of the frame. So when you get really close to the subject and the background is farther away, you can get really nice bokeh. And to be honest, you can get also very nice bokeh when shooting 16 millimeters. So here is a shot, a portrait shot at 16 millimeters. Like, obviously this is not like lens meant specifically for portraits because of the perspective distortion, but still you can get creative with it, and if you keep your subject quite close to the frame, it will still get you a nice picture. And here you can see I was close to my subject, my wife, and the background shows really nice bokeh, still pretty round bokeh all around here, like maybe getting slightly distorted, but still very nice bokeh in my opinion for a lens like this. And here's the same frame zoomed in to 27 millimeters, which is like, I would love to have 28 millimeter lens from Sony, like a new one. Please Sony, make one. I've been asking for over 2 years. But look at this bokeh. Like, I specifically turned this to black and white so we can concentrate on how the bokeh looks, and I really like it. It's really nice, especially if we're talking like f2.8 zoom lens. This is a great result in my opinion. Couple more snaps here. So I just enjoy walking the streets and being able to quickly either use a wide angle or just zooming into something like 35 when I would see something interesting. And also I was shooting with A7RV, which I was able to turn into crop mode whenever I needed. So I could also extend the reach on the go up to like 50 millimeters, obviously while losing some megapixels, but that's how the crop works in camera. Here's a set of daily photos. So these ones I edited with my new Flat Magic preset that I included in the pack. So if you're owner of my preset pack, you can go to the order and just re-download with a new version of the preset. If you don't have presets, you can always purchase. So this is more like a flat profile, like more subtle, less contrast, but yeah, I think it just works for like such a bright and, you know, day. Here I was shooting around noon, so the sun was really high, which is difficult specifically for portraits. I think it's nice for street photography, but it's definitely harder for portraits. But I was still playing around with this, kind of trying to get as creative as I can with a lens like this. Again, you can see here, keeping my main subject in the middle. I think it's crucial, or around the middle, it's crucial for such a wide perspective lens, because like, even though this lens doesn't have a much distortion, or actually the distortion probably is, but it's corrected in the camera already. But I'm talking more about the perspective distortion, which is always going to be there when you're shooting at 16 millimeters. You know, the perspective is just so wide, so it's going to be dangerous to put your subject on the corner because it will just look very unflattering. But you can always keep the subject in the center. Here's one more example, and here's even like more creative kind of approach to a wide angle lens like this. I really like this picture. Again, like kind of in the middle, but here I played with the perspective distortion, like making this framing like this, you know, making this leg wider. So I think this is how you can just use a lens like this. Overall, I had tons of fun just shooting everything around with this lens. Being able to quickly switch from 16 to 24 to 28 to 35 is nice, and f2.8 is not bad for anything street related. But let's talk about some wedding photos. And what I enjoyed the most about this lens is how I was able to just keep my focus tracking my subject. So for example, here at the first lens, I just selected my subject, keeping half pressed, so camera was tracking bride and groom like all over the frame, and I could still reframe it, zoom it in, zoom it out. So here, like while still holding a half pressed shutter and just clicking, I was able to zoom in, take the snap, and then go back to super wide, take a few steps back. Performance was flawless in a situation like this, so I really enjoyed shooting like this. Here's one more frame. Here, I think it's a user error because I focused on the neck, but still you can see me changing from 19 to 23 to 25 millimeters and like keeping the focus where I initially focused. Here's just one more picture, like extremely sharp. So he's like 16 millimeters, 1000 ISO, 1/1250 of a second. I used bounce flash here for this. The lens is super sharp. Just look at the texture of the dress. It just looks freaking amazing. Yeah, and I was shooting medium RAWs because that's what I do for weddings. So this is not a full 61 megapixel RAW. So what are my final thoughts? I actually am tempted to get one lens like this, but I'm still debating, should I go with 16 to 35 f2.8 or 16 to 35 f4 PZ lens, because this is the lens I've used for some of my video YouTube work, and I really enjoyed it for YouTube stuff because it's tiny, it's small, it has the power zoom, so you can like use remote to zoom in, to zoom out. So like it has these nice like kind of video features, and having f4 for video, it's not a big deal because you don't shoot like higher shutter speed, so you don't have to crank up your ISO that much. For wedding work, I would definitely go for f2.8 lens, and I think the main difference between version 1 and version 2 is gonna be like all the physical stuff. So the version 2 is just smaller, it has the aperture ring. So yeah, if you care about that, like go for version 2. If you don't care about any of the stuff and you just need a good 16 to 35 f2.8, you can just go for version 1. And please tell me in the comments if you use 16 to 35 and what is your use case for 16 to 35. How do you use it? Maybe share some photos with me. I'm gonna make sure to check out all the comments as I always do. And for now, thanks so much for watching, and I see you guys next week. Ciao.